everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to Lucid's 2022 Tournament Game 4, where we are playing Nazca. This is turn 59, and this is a pretty big one. If you can see things kind of kicking off from here, yeah, we've got a lot to chat about in this turn. So, let's go ahead and kick things off with some incoming trade. We have received 1,000 gold from Ulm. Yeah. And we're gonna immediately just kind of like skip down to briefly talk about what we're seeing here, right? We have a bunch of attacks from Ulm, who we have a nap with, right? This isn't what it looks like. This is a feint, and there's a reason why we have received 1,000 gold from Ulm for compensation for this feint. Ulm is attacking us in a number of locations to try to throw off the scent. Whether that works or not against Vanheim is... yeah, we'll see, right? But for now, this is a ploy, okay? So, with that in mind, we'll go ahead and continue on through the turn. We got some research completed. Evocation 6, which is pretty cool. That's going to give us access to a number of different capabilities, primarily Mind Hunt and Wailing Winds, right? Which can all be useful options for us. And then we have a bunch of sight searching and casting of spells. So we have an Auspex, Opsu, nothing, Haruspex, nothing, Arcane Probing, nothing. We did a Gnome Lore, found nothing. We did a Haruspex, found nothing. Augury, found nothing. Voice of Apsu, found nothing. Auspex, Arcane Probing, all finding nothing. So big fat goose egg on the sight searching this turn, which is unfortunate, but not really unexpected. Aside from the Voice of Apsu's, which we are potentially still hitting zeros on, right? Most of these other sight searches are sight searching locations where we already have sight searched up to 2. So we're really going for kind of broke on that, trying to see if there's any super maximum awesome sights that we've missed, but we're not really getting it. So it is what it is. There is one big scenario that happens during this. It cast Dispel, and we successfully dispelled Gift of Health. So, very cool. Still don't know, obviously, right? We don't know if we really overshot or if we barely, dispelled the Gift of Health. So maybe we'll find out in the future. Would be cool to know. But yeah, we were successful nonetheless, which is really important. So we've got that. And then we have a number of battles. None of these battles are actual battles, but we will watch them nonetheless, just because. So Ulm attacked us in Packwoods. This is another reason why we moved out of Packwoods in the previous turn. It wasn't just so that we could resupply or obtain our little vial water combat trick situation, but it was also just to avoid the raiding party of Ulm, which I kept silent about. And this is a very simple little raiding party, right? A single Master Smith leading a bunch of infantry from Ulm. You do something like a Legions of Steel, Strength of Giants, have a bunch of Guard Commanders, and these guys can take on a lot of PD. A lot of PD. Because they hit very hard, they're probably going to kill most PD in a single hit. They have very high protection, very hard to kill, easy peasy. So we're going to go down all of these. This is a bit of a bigger stack. Same scenario, though. There is some, especially from Ulm, right? There is some concept to the idea of maybe giving these guys a hat, right? Giving these Master Smith just like a very cheap old, just the black iron helmet or whatever it is, right? Type situation. Because they can get headshot pretty easy, especially if there's just one leading a stack. They can get headshot sniped by PD relatively easily, so just something to think about. And it's very cheap for Ulm to prevent that. So that's Centennia, 45 black plate. We get attacked in Mushwood. Another little situation here. Summon Earth Power, Legions of Steel, Strength of Giants, easy peasy. Same type of situation. Again, putting a hat on this guy could be a good idea, just to prevent any potential accidents. We get attacked in Thorn Woods. And this is actually a little thug, Master Smith. So, and this guy is pretty kitted out for a Master Smith. This is almost kind of like, it start raining? Ooh, it just started raining real hard all of a sudden. Wow. So, this guy with this pebble skin suit, right, actually has limited regeneration and increased earth magic. Built-in stone skin. Pebble skin suits are actually really cool, but a little dangerous, right? So they have built-in stone skin, right, which is going to give them some limited protection. But the problem is the armor itself doesn't have any base protection to increase off of the natural protection of the stone skin. So this can be a bit meh when it comes to using on a individual that doesn't already have high natural protection. But the increased earth magic, right, is very strong. Increased strength is nice. Limited regeneration, also nice, right? So this is kind of a cool little kit. Let's see what he does. I'm assuming it's going to be like Summon Earth Power, Iron Skin, Temper Flesh. Yeah. So 23 protection is not especially high, though he does have a Charcoal Shield, which has 26 protection on it. The Temper Flesh being okay. So this guy can still, Legions of Steel goes up to 25 protection. This guy only has 25 HP. He can get one-tapped, right, by the right hit. So like exploding dice on a barbarian, for example, could actually hit through the resistance. It's unlikely, but this is a very expensive kit. Well, I say very expensive. Most of these items Olm gets for like 1. But the Charcoal Shield, the Firebrand, and the Pebble Skin Suit all are higher end, right? But still a very cool kit, right? Downside, this thing has 14 magic resistance, so you can mind hunt the shit out of this real easy. So there's that. But that's a really cool kit to see. And then we get hit here. And this is one of Olm's actual armies, right? So here we get to see a massive amount of Black Plate infantry, lots of crossbows, lots of sappers, a pretty solid mage corps. Wow, look at all that shit. Hell yeah. Awesome. Cool stuff. So that's here in Amul. 2 Adepts of the Golden Order, 5 Bear Tribes, we got a Lore Master, 14 Master Smiths, 8 Priest Smiths. This is a real army. This is a legitimate army. These Black Lords, I believe, are kitted out for thug killing or super combatant killing. You can zoom back in and check real quick. Yep, so we got a Sword of Sharpness, we've got a Great Sword of Sharpness, we got another Sword of Sharpness, so they're pretty well kitted out and ready to fuck something up. This hero has a Firebrand, so pretty cool stuff. Is this guy enlarged? He's got the Crown of Titans. Interesting. Inspirational +1, command increase, and that's not bad. Kind of neat. Okay, cool. So that's a fun little situation. So for us, for the turn, battles versus Olm, 0 wins and 5 losses, but losses, again, these were known quantities. Olm let me know all of the locations that they were going to be targeting this turn, and this is why, you know, I received 1,000 gold compensation from Olm, and we're going to be taking all of these provinces back immediately. Olm's just putting 0 defense. I think we're actually leaving one of these provinces. I think it's Amul or Centenia. It's this one. It's Thornwoods. We're going to be leaving Thornwoods for Olm to backtrack into, because Olm's going to go for Satala. So we got that. We also have a couple of other battles to see. Pelagia pinging Olm in Blackport. And there's not much here. And then Olm hitting in Furia. Interesting. Okay, what do we got? We've got Master Smith. Got a bunch of Slave Masters, and then we've got a bunch of Black Lords kitted out with Smashers. So let's see what we got. Communion Master, Earth Power, Ground Army, Mass Regeneration, Marble Warriors. Ooh, Mass Flight, Legions of Steel, Power of the Spheres, Summon Earth Power, bunch of Earth Elementals. Ooh, that guy might get squished before anything else can happen. Okay, these guys have jumped into the back. Ooh, they've kind of gotten screwed over because of the enslaved minds there. Oh man, that's no bueno. There is still a lot of elemental spam down here, though. These elementals, and there is a Black Lord still in effect. They really only need one Black Lord with the Smasher to do the work that is necessary. Okay, elementals are in on the monolith. They will take him down relatively quickly. This Black Lord is in the back. Yeah. There goes the monolith. And that is done. Somewhat costly, potentially. Oh, no, not really costly. They ran because they were all flying. He only had one Black Lord still on the battlefield, but only one actually died. So 3 others ran. Hopefully they didn't die in the rout. And he lost 1 Master Smith. So not a huge amount lost, as long as he didn't lose a bunch of things on the route. So that's good, and did good work. Actually took out this monolith. So that's fantastic. And then we had a battle in Jotunheim. Vanheim attacking the final little stack. We've got Gulveig the Undying. We've got some Gigjas, some Yarvidjas, some Veti Hags. We've got a Pyromancer and a Scrotty. A couple Pyromancers, actually. So let's see what happens. All of the big things coming out from Vanheim, and it's just too much. It's just far too much for Jotunheim to do anything, honestly. Yeah, no. That battle where Jotunheim got gym baited, and because they got gym baited, they basically lost everything, was just excruciating, and there's nothing left, right? There's nothing left to really do anything with. So that is the final battle versus Jotunheim. So that's cool stuff. We're going to talk more about what's going on this turn, specifically here in just a few, but a lot of maneuvers that we're getting to see this turn. Got a couple of unexpected events. In Mark, we found copper deposits, and a new mine is being built, so we got a copper mine in Mark. That's cool. And in Pavonia, we found a small treasure, getting some gold and gems, and a Whip of Command. So, events for the turn, we got 0 negative and 2 positive. We gained a copper mine, a gold plus 250, water plus 2, earth plus 2, and a Whip of Command. Which is cool. All of the above is quite nice. And then, as we kind of like to go through, we also foresaw a great disaster on one of our Malkoi priests. But here is the last ticket to really review, and that is Nation defeated, Jotunheim vanquished. And I feel I feel so bad about that one. I still feel so bad about that one. Grippa Jotunheim absolutely absolutely got put in this position because of my actions and Ulm's actions. And I feel responsible and I feel bad for that. But it is what it is. I apologize, Grippa. You can kill me in a future game, and it will be fully justified. And we'll go from there. Anyways, so good game, Jotunheim. Actually, we didn't get to really see a lot of it because I never was able to get enough scouts in and see all of the different action that was happening. But Jotunheim fought Vanheim for a solid 10 or 15 turns, right? basically without us, and did a great job, honestly. Like, killed a lot of elves over the course. There's a lot of screenshots that we were sending all back and forth and everything like that, and Jotunheim put in good work. If I have zero doubt that if Ulm had been involved, they would have been able to defeat Vanheim. Not easily, but it would have happened, right? My involvement probably would also have aided. I don't know if Jotunheim and I could have beaten Vanheim. That, I think, is questionable. But if Ulm was involved, I think it would have been a cinch. My scenario is all of my stuff Vanheim was going to be able to kill very easily with just cloud trapezing thugs. So I don't know that I would have been able to put in much work to support Jotunheim. But with the work that Grippa did, I do think had I actually supported, Jotunheim probably would have won. I just probably would have lost. So at the end of the day, I do think our call was still the right call, even though I feel bad about it. But yeah, that's it. Jotunheim down. We have survived yet another nation. If we go to the score graphs, this is our dip, right? Where we were basically on 2 provinces, and that was turn 18 or 19, I think, was when we were at that point. So we've now hit the scenario where we have survived. We would have been the first person out, but we have survived 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other players at this point. So yeah, pretty fun stuff. Okay, we have a lot of movements on the map this turn, but not a lot of things that are of real import. So let's cover those first and foremost. Very quickly, we're just pinging back in Mushwood, in Packwoods, in Amul, and in Centania. There will be no... unless this is a big lie and Ulm's actually here to destroy us, there will be no battles there. We will be facing no PD. We will just be taking all of our stuff back. This is all just feints to... We don't think it's really going to work, but, you know, these are all just feints to be like, hey, Ulm's attacking Nazca, not Vanheim, right? And then next turn there's going to be a bunch of attacks on Vanheim. So, let's take this in 3 stages. We're going to talk about, we'll talk about Forgotten Woods, right? Which is this turn. We'll talk about our attacks on Vanheim, and then we'll talk about Ulm's. Because there's a lot to talk about here. So first off, we are actually, even as we initiate this war, we are attacking Forgotten Woods with this. So what we have going on here is a bunch of chaff to kind of feel the spot. Although we are actually, this time around, making it to where this chaff might actually be able to do something. First of all, it's not Hatenruna. They're not going to rout immediately. Second off, what we are able to do here is we are able to put some Strength of Giants onto a fair amount of these Nazcan Long Dead, which does mean that they will hit hard enough to be able to, against the Watchers, specifically, do some chip damage, okay? The other thing that we're going to be doing is we're summoning a bunch of Earth Elementals. The full-size Earth Elementals can and will trample the Watchers, and can and will damage the Monolith, as we actually just saw this turn on Ulm's attack on the Monolith Province, which we have like 3 Monolith Provinces in this game, which is oof, right? Then the other thing that we have is our Werewolf here that is fully kitted out, should be immune basically to the Watcher's lightnings. Does have high magic resist, and we're throwing up anti-magic, so he'll have even higher magic resist, so hopefully it's not going to be likely to be Enslaved Mind or Soul Slayed, right? And then has a Smasher that will absolutely ruin the Watchers and the Monolith if the Werewolf is able to get into range. Aside from that... Oh, we also have Earth Elementals coming out from this person. I don't think that we're gonna need more than that. I think the chaff here is gonna be perfectly fine at holding, keeping us from being killed by their earth elementals and the swarms, right? So we've got that. We've got some hold and attacks to absorb swarms, right? We've got enough earth elementals coming out of this that I think we're going to be perfectly fine, and I think the additional werewolf will also seal the deal for us. So hopefully we're going to put Forgotten Woods to bed relatively quickly. Okay? So that is Forgotten Woods. Our attacks into Vanheim are relatively light because, again, we want Ulm to be doing the majority of the heavy lifting. We're not super interested in going crazy here, right? So all we are actually doing for the most part is we are moving stacks of Hatenruna into Cloudbreakers and into Ulir. These stacks of Hatenruna are just bait, right? They will probably kill the PD there, but they will instantly die if Vanheim throws anything at them, right? If Vanheim cloud trapezes a basic Vanheir into them, that Vanheir will kill all of them. With just like putting up, not even geared out, just putting up freaking mist form, right, will kill all of them. So these are just bait. They're just to draw attention. They will take a province from Vanheim for a turn, so if Van doesn't do anything about them, they can be annoying, right? But Van absolutely should have very simple ways to respond to them. However, if Van does do something like Cloud Trapeze a individual into those locations, right, we could very easily throw a Mind Hunt out, right? Now, if Van is anticipating that, he might have invisible, stealthy units in the provinces that have Astral, but most likely that's not going to be the case initially. And even if we get something feeble-minded, we can get, again, the feeble-minded removed by Mama Pacha, so it's an opportunity for us to snipe some kitted out Vans. So this is a sacrificial pawn that we're aware of. The actual attack that we're making is on Mighty Pillars. Although, again, this is a relatively... What's my terminology here? I don't think we can fight Van still. I think if we attacked from Satrandith with like a massive army into a Van fortification, then I think we would die. I think Van would send an actual army and we would die, right? The issue being is because whether Van knows this or not, we do not have the combat magic to fight them. This is a army that can crack the Mighty Pillars in one turn, right? 80 Condors, more than capable of cracking the Mighty Pillars in one turn. And if everything here dies, which it very well might do, right? If everything here dies, I will be okay with that. I won't be like super happy about it, but I will be okay with it, right? I will not be super sad about losing every single thing here. We'll get the mages back, unless they get like Soul Slate or something like that. And the Condors, not a huge deal. I'll be sad about losing 40 Supaya, but we're starting to get to the point where we're producing more and more Supaya, so that's less of a concern, right? This is... And we are doing this in a hope that Van is not going to worry about us, right? That Van is going to be more worried about facing off against Ulm, and that we're just gonna be able to nip at the borders and take a few things here or there and benefit from it. And the reason why we are thinking in that manner is because we've been suspicious. I've been saying it for a couple turns now, right? We've got to be careful, right? Ulm has the Golden Throne, has the Throne of Knowledge, is on the throne of death, has taken this from Pelagia, just hasn't capped it. And right, like I've been saying, we have to be careful of Ulm, we have to be careful of Vanheim. Well, this turn basically seals the deal, right? Because Ulm, not necessarily with these movements, but because of this attack in Furia, right? So now Ulm has taken this throne province. They have an army next to Satala, which is another throne province, and from what I have been told, they have an army next to Mountains of Mist, which is another throne province. And I think they actually have armies moving towards this throne, I think is Resting Heights as well, right? So it is become evident that Ulm is moving for a throne rush. Very likely moving for a throne rush. That might not be the case. I might be incorrect there. Vanheim might be incorrect there. The world might be incorrect there, because the world's kind of thinking that as well right now. So, but it's possible that we're all incorrect. I don't think that is the case. I think it's turn 59. I think we are at that point where Ulm's going to start curving down as we go into the late game from a power scale, right? That right now they probably have crazy amounts of research, and this is their opportunity. This is what an Ulmish player should do, right? They 3-capped, and they now have an opportunity to hit the throne rush, right? To hit the thrones that they need. And that is why we are maneuvering into locations where it's maybe we will get some free shit because other people will be more focused on defending against Ulm. It's also possible that that's not the case, that we throw this and it gets destroyed by Van, but we'll see, right? This is not a feint, right? But this is a test, right? We are testing our opponent here to see what it is they're capable of doing and what it is they are willing to do in the face of other issues, right? And the negotiations, the back channels, the chats are going crazy right now, because it is absolutely turning into a turn on Ulm, you need to turn on Ulm, Ulm's gonna win. And here's the thing, Ulm might win, right? Ulm absolutely might win from this throne rush, if this is indeed a throne rush from Ulm. Thing about it is, okay, if I turn on Ulm, right? What is that? Okay, obviously, I don't want the game to end, right? But if I turn on Ulm and prevent Ulm from winning, that does not put me into a stronger position, right? That does not make me suddenly able to take on Pelagia or Vanheim or even Ulm, right? Like, even if I joined forces with Vanheim, which is the thing that has been proposed, right? Even if I joined forces with Vanheim and I take some Ulmish lands, right? I take Ashdod and maybe I take a bit of a Garthan land while Van takes Ulm, right? Then that just means Van's gonna win at that point, right? It doesn't mean that I'm suddenly gonna be able to win because I'm still so behind. It's going to mean that Van is just gonna turn around and do the exact same thing that Ulm is doing, right? If Van is able to take Ulmish proper, then Van will be near the 6 thrones that they need to win the game. And it'll be a scenario of me having to stop them. So the situation is basically I'm going to try to get some free shit out of this war, hopefully. And if I don't, I'm going to get knowledge of what Van has, what they're willing to commit, etc., etc. And maybe I'll cause a little bit of damage to them here or there, right? I'm basically expecting Van and the rest of the world to keep the game going, right? I am saying that I think it is in my best interest. I think I have a better chance of winning the game if I don't move against Ulm and the rest of the world keeps Ulm from winning, and then I continue scaling, and then at a later date, because here's the thing, if Ulm wins now, okay, sure, I made the wrong call, game over, right? But I wasn't gonna win at this point anyways, right? And losing my strongest ally, I'm also likely not to win either, right? Because then what's to keep Vanheim from just rolling over me? Or even Ulm, right? Like, if I attack Ulm, Ulm's like, okay, fine. I wasn't able to throne rush. Van, peace. You can have this concession, this concession. I'm gonna go kill Nazca now, right? Like, then I have to fight Ulm, and that's probably not gonna go well for me. So there's, I think if I attack Ulm, there is a 0% chance of victory for me at this point. But if I just leave Ulm alone, let him try to do this throne rush, and rely on the rest of the world to beat him back, then that means Ulm is going to have their power decreased. Other people are going to lose things in defending against Ulm, right? Vanheim's going to be weakened by defending against Ulm. Other people potentially getting involved are going to be weakened by preventing Ulm from winning, etc., right? Pelagia's saying, oh, I'm going to take back, the Throne of Death. Okay, well, that means there's going to be a massive battle against the two of them, weakening both sides. Again, I am going to bank on the game continuing, because if the game continues, I scale further. If I get myself killed, I don't scale further. So this is a long-winded scenario of saying we're basically just gonna sit back and watch and hopefully get a couple things out of Vanheim. Although it's entirely possible that Vanheim's gonna be like, no, fuck you. But we'll see, right? My hope. Okay, so what happens if Ulm tries to throne rush, right? If Ulm isn't throne rushing, then this is all a moot point, right? If this isn't a throne rush from Ulm, then this is a moot point. But I feel like it is, because the fortresses that they're going for are the ones with the thrones in them, right? If this isn't a throne rush, it's a moot point. But if it is a throne rush and it fails, what happens then, right? Well, that kind of depends. Van might say, hey, I'm going to keep fighting Ulm. Ulm might say, okay, well, my throne rush failed, but I still want to fight Vanheim. Which means that we would probably stick it out with Ulm and try to provide support where we can. So that is an opportunity for us to maybe take some thrones, right? And this Throne of Fire would be amazing. The Throne of Life over here, my god, would be super freaking awesome for us. That gives us an opportunity, right? With Ulm's support, us kind of like raiding here or there in Vanheim, defending ourselves against Vanheim. Not really taking the major engagements, but trying to whittle Van down and doing what we can, with Ulm doing the main amount of the work, right? Means that this gets elongated, right? And I might not be able to beat Ulm now, but maybe I can beat Ulm in 10 or 15 turns, right? So that's kind of that scenario. What happens if Ulm's throne rush fails and then Ulm pieces out, right? Vanheim very well could be like, okay, I'm tired of Nazca's shenanigans. Ulm, peace out. I'm gonna attack Nazca. That is a possibility, but I don't think it's much of a possibility. And if it does come to pass, right, then that again brings the pressure of this throne and this throne going over to Van, and I think Arco very much would not be happy with that scenario. So I think we see Arco attacking Van in the back at that point, and potentially Ulm getting involved again, right, to prevent that situation from happening. So if Van decides to go after me, right, I do think we'll experience heavy losses, but I also think that the world will mobilize against Van if that happens. And then there's the concept of, like, if the throne rush fails and if the Throne Rush fails, it's possible that everyone just pieces out, right? That we're like, okay, well, fuck this. Ulm pieces out, I piece out, Vanheim pieces out, right? What happens then? Not a lot for us, honestly. We continue to play the scaling game, and then maybe we look at Pelagia, or we look at Ulm in 15 turns, or we look back at Van in 15 turns, and we basically all play that kind of waiting game of, you know, we're scaling, and if someone else does something, we trigger wars, right? Like, I think all pieces going from now on, every single piece is going to come with this caveat of, like, if you control 4 thrones, we're at war, right? Or something along those lines, right? So this is, I've talked about this, that this is, I think, too early for us to move. I do not think that we have the strength to really fight Vanheim, but this is an interesting series of events, right? If we don't move on Vanheim and Ulm just goes, then either Ulm wins or they don't win, right? But if we are able to gain something out of poking at Vanheim while this is happening, then perhaps we can actually further our capabilities in the game. And if we can't, I'm not super worried about the aftermath, right? Like, if Van rebuffs Ulm, keeps them from winning, I'm not super worried about the idea that things are going to go south for us from there. It's possible that they do. It's possible that Ulm and Van are like, okay, we make peace. Let's eat Nazca together, right? That way, neither of us gets too much, right? We both split Nazca, and that way it's not a, you know. But even then, I don't think that's going to happen again, because that's too many throne possibilities for both of them. And they're in this status quo where they're gonna fight each other at the drop of a hat going forward, because of the number of thrones that they have access to. So we'll see how that all turns out. Anyways, I've kind of been yakking on about this. This is a lot of stuff going on, right? It's a lot of really interesting stuff. Let's talk about some of the little minor things, because I've been hinting at these over the course of the past couple turns. So we've got some of our elf traps going out, right? In a couple of locations. We've got one over here in Packwoods. We'll actually have some dire wolves and have a gelatinous cube to eat some elves. We've got another one coming out here in Old Man Mountains. We're going to get more in Bara and in Satrandith, and we're going to try to get some going on in some of these other locations too. Again, we're kind of like behind the curve as far as like getting some of these defenses up. I'm not especially worried because I have insider information, and my insider information is that in my conversations with Van is repeatedly saying, look, I don't want to fight you. I would rather worry about other shit, right? So I don't want to fight you. Are you going to make this a fight? And for right now, I am kind of making this a fight. So we have a couple more turns to kind of like amp things up and see how Van reacts to things, basically. So, all right, let's talk about some of the actual mechanical things for this turn. We've got a fair amount of recruitment going on. We are recruiting 5 Huron Priests, 1 Scout, 1 Royal Malqui, 5 Sun Guard, and 2 Dinyashis. So cool. Good stuff. We've got a lot of Huron Priests that we're recruiting basically all over the place. These are for combat casters primarily, right? Like, Huron Priests remain basically the strongest recruit anywhere mage that we have. Aside from the the Malqui Priest, which is just a Huron Priest undead, right? But the Huron Priest actually has other benefits because they are flyers and not undead, etc., etc. So we're just getting them all over the place so that we have access to more combat mages. And we basically did that with our regular income, and with the 1,000 gold, we got a Royal Malqui. So more Royal Malquis, more scaling into the late game. Again, trying to get to that point to where we want as many Royal Malquis as we can get. Everything else is relatively normal stuff. Easy peasy. Nazcan... Oh, sorry. I did not put my stuff there. Nazcan recruits for the turn. We got 41 Haten Runa. We got 105 Long Dead Warriors. We actually went down a turn because we're moving some Malquis priests around. We got 9 Supayas, and we are doing 1 Summon Huaka for 7 Huakas. So yeah, good shit. Continue to... Actually, I say we continue to scale. We didn't really scale this turn, but we're going to be scaling. We're going to continue scaling. We just kind of got to shift focus here or there. We actually have quite a few Huakas now. We've got 14 here that we're moving into Sat Randith. We've got 35 here. So we've got, what is that? 45, 52 Huakas. So that's pretty cool. These guys are no joke, and we're getting them scaled up with our little experience montage, working out at the gym, right at the Ancient Master. These guys are gonna be pretty awesome. So we get a couple of experience pips on them, and they'll absolutely be able to hit an elf, right? Built-in magic weapons, which we totally need. Charge bonus on those magic weapons. We can still do buff things. We already have +4 strength, right, on our bless. Do things like Strength of Giants on them, and all of a sudden these guys hit really, really hard on the charge. And they're gonna have great combat stats. Built-in resistances, flying in or storm immunity, awe. Very, very, very happy to have more and more and more and more of these guys, and hopefully we're gonna be producing them every single turn for the rest of the game, likely, right? So there is that, and I'm very excited about that. What else do we got going on? We've got some special recruits. Only the Dustwalkers this turn, down here in the Might Marsh. So those guys are pretty cool. Maybe now that we're actually in a war, they'll see a little bit of action in the coming stages, but hopefully not. We've still got 3 months left on the Might Marsh. Hopefully we don't see any action over in this area. This is pretty deep rating, but that is absolutely something that Van can do. So we've got that going on, and then we've got rituals for the turn. This is mostly just more site searching. 2 Auspex, 1 Voice of Apsu, 2 Arcane Probing, 1 Haruspex, and 1 Vile Water. So we're continuing that. More Vile Waters basically for the Pakwos. So we want to kind of use these Pakwos of the Mountain Spirits as maneuvers. You can see we still got a lot of afflictions here, but most of the diseases are gone. We only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, like 20 something, right? So we're curing a lot of those diseases pretty rapidly. So there's that. Pretty happy about that situation. And then we've got some forging. So we do have some interesting stuff going on over here. Hold up. Oh, I missed one. That's my bad. We actually have a scrying pool going on as well. So we're casting scrying on Vanheim itself this turn, just to kind of give us some vision. We've got a Eyes of the Condor on Cern, on the Mighty Pillars, on Satala, and this is going to be good for Satala and Cern, so we know exactly what's going on with Ulm's probable throne rush. But we also want to get eyes on Vanheim just to see kind of what's happening. And then we have some forging. So 2 Endless Bags of Wine, 1 Huaka Headdress, 1 Starshine Skullcap, 1 Earth Boots, and 1 Water Bracelet. Not a lot of crazy stuff going on here. Pretty simple situations. The Endless Bags of Wine, just making sure we're covering our bases as far as supplies go. Huaka Headdress, we're getting another Royal Malquis, so we need another headdress for that. In point of fact, actually, we've been fucking up with our Manco Aklo because again, I think I talked about this in the past, but in the past couple turns, but this period of the game is actually happening when I've got a lot of really stressful things going on at work, so my head unfortunately really isn't in the game, so I am making a lot of little mistakes like this, like not using the first couple for summoning Supayas or things like that. And there's some other big stuff that comes up, but I won't spoil that. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, we are trying to make sure we're getting things like Huaka headdresses for our new Royal Malqui, etc., etc. Starshine Skullcap, Earth Boots, Water Bracelets, just boosters to try to aim for some of the things that we're trying to go for. Starshine Skullcap in particular trying to aim for the idea that, hey, we need higher astral in order to mind hunt things. The only person that can actually mind hunt right now would be our god. We need more stuff for that. Manko Aklo, for example, can use a Starshine Skullcap, unlike most of our Royal Malquis. Royal Malquis can only use crowns or laurels, so they can't actually use a Starshine Skullcap. But a Koya can, right? So you give a Koya, a Starshine Skullcap, and a Crystal Coin, and boom, it's a Mind Hunt cannon. So, gonna be working towards a lot of that type of stuff. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. Anything else for this turn? Not a lot. We have an open enchantment slot. We're going to see if other people start firing off. We are still storing up our death gems to go for Well of Misery. That's going to be several turns. We are playing super greedy right now. We are entering into a war that we know we are at a disadvantage for from a combat perspective, and we could get obliterated because of it. We likely will take heavy losses, and we're still playing super greedy. Super greedy. Because, and I want to reemphasize this, right? Like, I do not think that if I try to be competitive right now, I think we lose anyways, right? I just think we are behind the curve. So, rather than trying to catch up in the thing that we are behind on, screw that. We go for greed. We go for maximum greed, and if our maximum greed works out, then we are going to see this scaling happen, and suddenly we'll be able to go, oh, hello, we're back in the game. Let's shit on some people, basically. So that's the plan. We'll see if that actually works or not. That's going to be the end of the turn. Pretty exciting stuff. I know it's been probably a little bit of a drag because we haven't been in a war for a while. We'll see what happens. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye, everybody. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.